I am back with Ineke Vander Aa. Ah, a last name which is two A's. So she's always the first person in the alphabet, whether it's the Yellow
Yeah,
Pages, which you don't even know what that is, and neither does anyone in America. It
I
doesn't
do.
exist anymore. Or in the school roster. She's named after a very famous river in Belgium where she lives. We're back to talk a little bit more, Ineke, about your book, Dogsitivity, A Guide to Living with Highly Sensitive Dogs, a new way of living with dogs based on empathy and equality. And I don't know if in our first conversation, since we talked a lot about humans who are highly sensitive, which is you, which gave you a lot of the empathy to think this through. And it
Mm.
turns out probably me too, but no one had ever described it to me before. So it was quite eye-opening and interesting and exciting and thrilling and relieving to me to learn that some of us are also wired the way these dogs are. But what we didn't have a chance to do was talk very specifically about how to know if your dog is in that 20% of dogs who are technically, scientifically, this isn't woo. Ineka's a dog trainer and she thinks a dog could be highly sensitive. These are highly sensitive dogs. Before we
Yeah.
go to the dogs, however, we must go to the goats. What is it about you and goats?
And what is it about me and goats,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
yes. You love them so much, and there's a goat in the book, a huge goat. You said he's the size of a donkey.
Yeah, yeah. I believe the goat that I was referring to was, I would say, in Flemish.
Yes,
And he was about 85 kilos. So I don't know how many pounds that is,
a
but
lot.
he was huge. Yes, he was huge. Yeah. And you know what? I don't know exactly how it is that I feel so immensely connected to goats?
It,
Why?
but it's fascinating the fact that you do and are, and then you question it, and you haven't even got the answer fully. There's actually a dog trainer in Seattle, Washington, who I met, and she had a radio show for a while about dog training. And then she and her wife started to breed miniature goats, and their life became their goats. And I never wondered, what is this about dogs and goats?
They, they are
I've
so
always been the
addictive.
donkey person, but you're the goat person. I've always been afraid they'd eat everything, like the house and all the
Yeah, they
shrubs
do.
and the outdoor furniture. So,
Clothes. Yeah.
yeah,
You
clothes.
know, I think for me with the goats is that it's similar to wolf dogs in that what really stands out is that they are so true to themselves.
Ah.
Whatever is going on around them, whatever other people's expectations about them, they really almost stubbornly, you would say stubbornly, but it's actually not stubborn. It's really staying true to themselves and what they need, or probably all the time, they are exactly right in knowing what they need and they will enforce it.
And is that
You
why you
respect that.
appreciate that? You want
I
more of
really,
that for yourself, don't you?
yes, probably.
Yes.
Yes.
And you want it for dogs because you do
Yeah.
train a lot of dogs,
Yeah.
some of them with who are clearly misunderstood and maybe have been from day one
Yeah.
and need to be looked at and understood and appreciated and protected, if you will, from their
Mm,
own highly sensitive reactions to the world around them. I
yeah.
would like to look at one chapter because it's called Challenges for Highly Sensitive Dogs. And I wasn't sure at first what that meant, but really, you're saying these are the challenges these dogs face in living
Mm.
on this planet. It's not, oh, let's give some challenges to highly sensitive dogs and
Oh, no,
see
no,
how
no.
they
Yeah.
do. Part of me thought, oh, really? Okay, we're going to test them. But that's
Oh,
not
no, no,
it
no.
at all. Quite the opposite. We're not going to put them in situations where they're like, too much for me. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the first one, the freedom to be. I want people to understand that your dog may not be like this, but it's really cool to understand that some dogs are. I consider them almost a more elevated version of a dog, like more highly tuned, more intensely aware of everything around them. And that's hard on them. And if we don't understand what they're grappling with, we get hard at them. And that's
Mm.
not what we want to do. So, what is the freedom to be? It sounds a little, oh, really, Ineke? The freedom to be? But really, sometimes they just need to be left to be and not fussed over.
Yes. And the freedom to be dog.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, I see many dogs in the position of a dog therapist. So I see dogs who are struggling with certain things, and then I notice how they are almost constantly deferred from showing healthy canine behavior that is actually needed to support their emotional health,
Mhm.
such as digging in the yard, sniffing during walks, just being dogs, playing. Dogs love to play. Play is also a way of releasing tension in their bodies. Play is also a way of getting to know each other, of just enjoying life.
Yeah.
But it gets bumpy, and I some people don't like it when their dog becomes too riled up, but that's dog. And
Mhm.
I would really like for us people to be more aware of what it means to be canine, what it means to be a dog. And if we decide for a dog to live in our homes and in our society, it is also up to us to leave them the freedom to behave in canine ways, even if it bothers us sometimes.
Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
we're highly sensitive and we're like, oh, that's too loud. That's too busy. Settle down. But
Yeah.
dog is just expelling positive energy or
Yeah.
even stress. So it's either joyful or it's stressful, but they need to do this activity, whether it's running really hard and or chewing a stick to smithereens or
Mm.
digging. Is your garden that important? You just have to give it up. You just have to act. Maybe they're goats. And if a goat was in your garden, you can't protect your garden from a goat. And you
You
should
really
from a
can't.
dog. And I imagine that lots of little dogs are really infantilized and
Yes.
never allowed to express their dogness. So from the time they're little, they're coddled and they're held and their costumes are put on them and they're pushed around in strollers and they're held in baby front packs and they
Mm.
just give up their dogness. Now, if those aren't highly sensitive dogs, I guess no harm done. It's selfish of the people,
Mm.
but there's no harm done really if the dog goes, okay, I'll be your baby doll. Because that's what we're talking about, isn't it?
Yes, but I do think being a dog isn't a lot of dogs, maybe if they're not necessarily highly sensitive, they may have more mental space, if you will, or emotional space for themselves to deal with us. So they might have more leverage. I'm looking for the right English.
Patient, acceptance.
Yeah, they might have more energy left inside their bodies and their brains to go, okay, this is what you want from me now, and I will submit to that because I notice it's important to you and I don't want conflict.
Oh, sweet. What's the word in Flemish? We might as well learn a little Flemish while we're spending time with you. Nice word, veerkracht.
Veerkracht. And it means having leverage, having the emotional leverage to deal with something. And sometimes so highly sensitive dogs will be very sensitive to overstimulation. And when you're already overstimulated, you don't have that leverage.
I see.
Yeah, so you will snap if someone asks a little bit too much of you, or if
Yes.
someone takes away that ball that you're holding because it helps you regulate the tension in your jaws.
That's another good one, which is one of the, in this chapter, you talk about just holding something in your mouth. Let me see which one that is. Holding something in your mouth is one of the many ways that a dog can, a highly sensitive dog. So you have chewing, destroying, tearing, ripping a stuffed toy into pieces. Now, my
Mm.
young puppy, he's an intact dog. I haven't had an unneutered male since I was a child, and we had an unneutered Bedlington Terrier who was rather ferocious, and I remember him ripping a lot of dogs to shreds. Not great. But
Oh,
those were
goodness.
in the 1950s. Nobody knew it. He'd get into a dog fight. He wouldn't just shred any dog, but if he got too rough with another dog, and a lot of dogs were intact, I mean, they would bite until they bled. I mean, that unfortunately is dog also. But this
Yes.
puppy, Sky, I have to spend. Luckily, I have a cheap store, TJ Maxx. Do you have that in Belgium? TK Maxx? They have that in England. It's great. It's a discount store that gets really good things of every kind, mostly clothes and shoes, but also lots of dog toys for half the price they would be otherwise. And I invest about $6 in a toy, and it takes minutes for him to shred it. And then you're picking up all the fluff. And then you take the squeaker, which luckily he doesn't swallow it, and you throw that away after he's macerated that. Then the ear and then the toes, and eventually there's nothing left, but it only takes the better part of a day. But
Mm.
that works for him. When you have holding something in the mouth, playing, barking, rhythm of movement, these are things that can't just say to a dog, be quiet. He's expressing something. He's expelling. You know how we say to kids that's an outdoor voice and not an indoor voice? You can say it to a dog, but then you better give them a lot of access to the outdoors. They can't just
Yeah.
always have indoor voices.
Yeah.
We,
And they just need to regulate themselves.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pressure valve. It's like a pressure cooker.
Mm.
Something has to let this out. But the idea of holding something in the mouth and where take it away from the dog, and then you got to have a lot of good stuff around for that kind of dog to put in their mouth. Just
Yes.
have it available.
Have it available and remind him.
Yes.
Remind
Offer
him.
it. Offer it.
Yes. Yeah. Dingo is like that, the dog that's just lying down next to me. He really has this drive to whenever he feels overstimulated or stressed or tense for some reason, he likes to have something in his mouth. And if nothing is available, he'll grab whatever. And I don't want my shoes to be ripped into
Yes.
pieces. I always make sure that I have stuff for him available everywhere. And when I notice that the tension in his jaw is building up, I tell him, take your ball.
Yes.
And oh, yeah, that's
You know
right.
what a good idea, Mom. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, you can, or Sky will come over, and it's usually my right arm, which is on the mouse, because I spent a lot of time at the computer working. And he bangs
Yeah.
my arm. I'm like, get a toy, get a toy. No, get a rope toy, because rope toys, you can, these big ropes with gigantic knots. He'll take it and he'll thwack himself in the head with it. Thwack, thwack, thwack. And you're thinking, you're going to get a concussion. He needs it. It's like some of these dogs, and I wouldn't necessarily call him highly sensitive because he loves life, he loves environments, he's so loving. But when I look at your book, Dogsitivity, and I look at the list of things that would describe a highly sensitive dog, he ticks off every box. Now, if he
Mm,
had a different life and I didn't just let him be, because that's one of your tenets is the freedom to be yourself, whoever that
mm,
dog is, I don't know what he'd do. He might at some point shut down and just be a depressed, shut down version of himself, or he could be an acting out dog that did all kinds of quote unquote bad things. So I think this book gives a huge amount of information that lets us say, oh, that's what that is. Let me help you with that. Let me lay some more ugly toys around the
yeah.
house and put them in a toy
Critical.
basket. Don't put them in a toy basket because the toy basket itself, excellent. Let's destroy the toy basket. I've tried that twice. Another one of yours is emotional contagion. That's an
Mm,
interesting idea. Explain that.
okay. It's very typical for any social animal, including us humans. My rooster just crowed. My apologies.
We can't hear it, but I love that.
He was right at the window. Yeah, so for any social species, emotional contagion is a thing, and it really actually helps us to be empathic with each other and to help us understand each other and maybe even comfort each other when we need it. So, what it means in daily life is that when I'm feeling, for instance, I was feeling a little stressed for this podcast, right? I
Okay.
need to have
Yes.
my best English ready. So,
Of course, that's right. That's a strain on you.
yeah, it is. Yeah,
Thank
for
you
the
for
listeners
doing
who don't know, yeah, I really have to
it.
look
Yeah,
for my words
that's
sometimes.
right.
So I'm feeling nervous, and Dingo, my dog, he's laying with me, and he senses that I'm nervous too. So my nervousness is now his nervousness, but he doesn't know. He doesn't have that context of me talking to you here right
Right.
now. So he just feels that emotion and tries to find ways to deal with it, and tries to find way to cope and to regulate. But it's the other way around as well. So, for instance, if he is fearful about something or whatever, he's feeling fearful, then I will start to become fearful myself. I have to be constantly aware of what I'm feeling and whether that feeling, that emotion is arising from within me,
Wow.
from other people or other animals around me. And it's people and other animals who are highly sensitive or even more attuned. to emotions of others around them. Oh my goodness, it's so important to really make that distinction. Is it yours, the emotion? And can you regulate yourself? Or does it arise from somebody else and are you just contagious,
Yes.
contaminated? Are you just
Contag have
contaminated?
you been contagious? Yeah, I don't know what the verb would be in English. There's
Yeah.
probably a great one in Flemish. But yes, if it's contagious from another creature, you do need to protect yourself and
Yes.
separate them, because if you're in a public place and you're picking up this vibe, if you will, but it's stronger than a vibe,
It's
you need
stronger
to
than
say,
that.
"Oh, I'm not actually nervous in this setting in a museum. But a lot of these people are. Maybe
Yeah.
that mother and child are squabbling, maybe a
Yeah.
couple that they can't find each other, they're anxious, and you
Mm.
can pick it up. I think it's one of the things that many of us are prone to, but we aren't conscious about it.
You're
So if
not
we
conscious
become
of it.
conscious about ourselves in those situations,
Yeah.
we can become more sensitive to any animals in our life and other humans. It
Yeah.
makes us better companions, but also better self-protectors. How
Yes.
many people eh, think, oh, going to Disneyland is great, or the equivalent, whatever that might be, in Belgium, a very crowded place, maybe a soccer game with a lot of beer involved. Some people go, yes, that's going to be so great. And those of us who say, oh, please no, it even
Mm.
makes me anxious to see it on television. That many
Yeah.
people crowded together, drinking, taking their clothes off, screaming, painting their faces. Wow, that's a lot.
Too
So,
much.
too
Yeah.
much. And that could be dogs at a dog park. And as
Oh
you say
yeah.
in the book, you take that dog back to that dog park over and over. Talk about that, because you want to get ready, as you said, for a camping trip that's coming up next week or next month. So
Yeah.
this is not the thing to do with this dog at all. But you think,
And
I'll fix him. I'm going to make this work.
yeah, and you know what? There's nothing wrong with taking your dog to the dog park, even if he's highly sensitive. But we need to be aware that this dog is so sensitive to all the sensory of information. It soaks up everything, all the subtleties around him and within him. So he will need more time to process.
Right.
Right? And this can take days, sometimes weeks before a dog is ready to return to that dog park. And what I see in this specific example that I gave is that people are like, okay, you know what? In two months, we're gonna take our dog for a camping trip. So he needs to be ready to deal with other dogs being around. So right now we're gonna take him to the dog park once or twice a week. But the dog has no time enough to process everything he's learned. So what happens is the dog gets overstimulated. And then he returns to that dog park with that feeling of overstimulation. So what happens is he's developing negative associations with that place and with other dogs being around him. And you're actually causing more stress than actually teaching him something. So I would really recommend people in that example, for instance, to really leave a lot of room for processing and regulation. Maybe it's okay to take him to the park once or twice. Maybe allow him to just watch dogs from a distance or just
Right.
sit
I love
somewhere.
the idea of watch from a distance. I have a friend who I play pickleball with, and one of her sons growing up, she's quite athletic, and both the sons are now young grown men, and both are athletes in their own way, various sports. But one of them, as a child, said, no, I'll just watch the baseball. And she had to take him, or chose to take him, to every single game. He sat not on the bench, but up in the stands. This is just kids, right? I don't know. You probably have the equivalent in soccer, and it could have been just as easily soccer for him in Belgium. And they sat in the stands, and the little boy processed it. He watched, he looked, he listened. And it was years before he said, okay, I think I'll give it a try. No pressure, no expectation. This book and this chapter are about that.
Mm,
Not putting an image on a dog, not putting an expectation, but you're this kind of dog, so you should want to do this thing. Or the idea that watch a dog with freedom, probably without a leash is my guess, and watch how much they don't just go running into, if you will, a burning building. They get into a new situation and they stop. Maybe even
Yes.
frozen still, taking it in. What is this? Who's there? Let me sniff. Let me
Mm,
look. I'll go a little ways and wait, hang on. What's that over there? And it doesn't mean a dog park full of loud, busy dogs. It could be anything. A
mm,
smart dog, a balanced dog, looks at the landscape and evaluates it and decides, do I want to go there? Is it safe? Will it be fun? Will I be
mm.
protected? Do I have an escape? All these things that we just force them in with a leash. And I think your book, and this is for any dog, but the book also points out, watch the dog. So if he is reluctant to go into the dog park, come on, hurry up. No, go back up. Slow
Yeah.
down. And then if the dog's in there by choice or you've asked him to be, and now he's not wanting to be here,
Yeah. You make it.
leave,
Yeah.
leave. Don't think he'll get over this. I'll just keep him in here another 15, 20 minutes. Not even another minute, folks. I think that's what Dogsitivity is about, is you
Mm.
being sensitive to a dog who has emotions, who has reactions, who has feelings, and some of them are wired in such a way that you can cause them real discomfort and to go and to be unbalanced emotionally, not centered. And it's hard for them. Another thing that you talk about is finding space to regulate their emotions. How
Mm.
about that space? It's emotional as well as physical, isn't it? This,
Yes. And I noticed that a lot of people talk about regulation, self-regulation. And I think it's important to understand that these are activities or behavior that really helps your emotions to settle. It really helps your body and your mind to return to some kind of emotional balance.
yes.
For dogs, they are sometimes so limited that they have to be really inventive and creative about ways they can regulate themselves.
Yeah.
And I think the easiest way I see dogs regulate themselves is go chewing anything,
Yes.
using their jaws. Because yes, self-regulation is important to calm the emotion, but it really helps the tension in the muscles in the body to calm
Right.
as well. But sometimes that means that they need to move first. So
Right.
some dogs really like to just, those dogs who come home from a walk and you let them off leash in the yard and they start spinning like they get the
Hello. I
zoomies.
live with one. Yeah, and you think, wait a minute, I just took you. We just went on a 30-minute walk. I get back in the house with Sky. There's no leash. He's been running and leaping like some kind of a wild animal in the African veldt. And he starts to do parkour. He will grab a toy and run from one room to another, bouncing off of furniture, leaping on it, bouncing off of it. And you think, and until I read your book, I thought, wow, this is like a crazy wind-up toy. He's so thrilled by that walk. The only way he can process all the excitement of the sights, the sounds, the smells, the feeling of his own body, which you talk about, the joy of movement, that he has to do it until he winds down like some crazy overwound toy.
Yes. You know what? It's funny. Just I think it was a week ago, I was at this event and there were a couple of speakers and it was such a beautiful vibe. It was so intense. It was very emotional. I enjoyed it. Everyone who was there really enjoyed it, but nevertheless, it was very intense. And then when we came outside, we just started laughing and somebody started dancing.
Wow.
It was crazy. And that's when I noticed, like, hey, we're
Yeah.
regulating ourselves here.
Yes.
We're releasing the tension that has built up in our bodies this past few hours. So it's not necessarily a symptom of, oh, hey, it's been too stressful or
Right.
something. It has been intense. So he needs that way of releasing that tension. And dogs really try to take care of themselves. If we watch them and
Yes.
we watch them take certain initiatives, we'll notice what they need to regulate themselves, whether it's physical through play, again, digging, whether it's calming by grooming themselves,
Or
suckling them.
stillness. You talk about stillness, having a place where they can just be still and not be patted or talked to or played with by you or another dog. They just need to chill. The
Yes.
book is amazing, Ineke. I think that the more I read it, the more I realize it has so many layers of wisdom and suggestions and advice and observations. I really cannot recommend it enough. Dogsitivity, a guide to living with highly sensitive dogs. If you also happen to be a highly sensitive person, good luck to you on one level. On the other hand, get this book and you'll think, oh, I have a friend out there, and her name is Ineke Vander Aa. Thank you so much for this book. I have a
Thank
feeling you'll be
you.
back. We haven't finished talking. There's so much to understand about dogs, and we need to go a little deeper. Thank you so much. It's a wonderful book, and you've done wonderful work. Really love
Thank
spending
you,
time with you.
Jen.
Take care, Ineke.